Welcome to New Endeavors 2020 Virtual Fundraiser. So glad you're here. We're so grateful that you have decided to join us for this year's first ever virtual fundraiser for New Endeavors by Women. We appreciate you. We're glad you're here. Enjoy the program. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Wanda Steptoe, the Executive Director for New Endeavors by Women. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for our first virtual event. As with everything else and everyone else, we've had to make adjustments during this season of the COVID pandemic. And even though we can't come together in person, I'm excited about our new format. It allows us to demonstrate even more of the work that we're doing. This evening, you'll be able to hear from a couple of people that we are currently serving, as well as a graduate who has successfully completed the program and has moved on to do really great things. So I'm excited to show you even more of what we do here at New Endeavors. We really thank you for your generosity and taking time out of your schedule to be with us this evening. Thank you.
What I love most about New Endeavors is the fact that our mission is about empowering women.
I have a story, just like we all have a story. My name is Michael Lisa Jones. I was raised in a dysfunctional family, and I stayed in my closet until 16. I came out. It was very hard because there was a lot of rejection. It had cast me into a state of depression, and I developed a low self-esteem. Through all of that, I gained a drug addiction because I didn't want to feel anything. I struggled in my recovery, and there was constant relapse. There was constant behavioral issues. But I credit Miss Robinson and Miss Norris because they saw so much in me that I didn't see in myself. They would encourage me and believe in me. They've gone far and beyond. Miss Robinson and Miss Norris constantly tried to show me my worth, tried to show me the higher self as opposed to the lower self. I know the lower self too well. I remember right before I went into treatment, they found me intoxicated, and they were so worried that I would step in front of a car or hurt myself, which I had been doing. It had become a pattern of me hurting myself, that they followed me all the way up the street a few blocks. And I noticed them following me, so I just sat down and I cried because I knew what a mess that I had made of myself. But they were still there. They walked side by side and they followed me to make sure I was okay.
I'm Darlene Gladden. I was on the streets doing my thing. I relapsed. I had gotten so depressed and everything that I chose alcohol and drugs. And I was out there this time for about 9 months because I had a car, but I lost that. I went to the hospital because I tried to commit suicide. When I was in my 30s, one of my best girlfriends, I didn't know or anything. We used to smoke weed together sometimes. Then she invited me over and she had laced it with the crack cocaine and I didn't know. I have addictive personality and from then on, it's been rocky, you know. My last job, I worked for 10 years for Prince George's County Public Schools. I'm a network and support technician. You know, I'm trying to get my head wrapped around and become mentally positive so that I won't make any more bad decisions. But New Journeys, Miss Corbin and Miss Price, they're just wonderful. This program is wonderful because they understand what we're going through, so they give us second chances to get ourselves together and stay on the right track. And I'm just very, very happy that I have a beautiful apartment. God has blessed me with everything that I need, and I can go over there and talk to Miss Corbin and Miss Price about anything. They give you second chances. They don't, if you screw up, they'll just don't kick you to the curb. You know, they talk to you, they tell you they love you, they tell you it's okay. You know.
My name is Sharon Henderson. I've always had a cook's job position, and I love cooking. I full hound license. Once you start using drugs, I started not going to work, started neglecting a lot of things. I just want to do better.
I just recently celebrated a year clean. Here at New Hope, I was able to develop stability in my life. And when a person is homeless, there's just absolutely no stability. Having a place to live, it brings so many more rewards. And although I don't have a mansion like everyone wishes and things of that nature, I'm so grateful to have a roof over my head. I'm so grateful to have a shower. I'm so grateful to have heat in the winter, air in the summer. And now I'd like to say that I'm in a state of personal freedom, and I have a lot to offer. Now I know that I have everything I need right here inside me, as long as I make better choices for myself, and as long as I know that I can.
I'm just trying to build a foundation. Thank you to the donors and everyone that has made this program possible for people like me. Thank you so much.
And I also would like to say thank you to all the supporters that I ran across that have came into my life as well. And I will hope to see y'all again.
Thank you so much, New Endeavors. Thank you for loving a person like me when I didn't know how to love myself. Thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if there's anything I can do to give back, all you gotta do is ask. I'm right here in New Endeavors, a part of New Endeavors. I am New Endeavors. Thank you.
New Endeavors takes pride in their case management services, and we do tailor every single case plan with love, compassion, and empathy for all of our ladies.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to Ms. Rashima Melson. Rashima came to my attention from an article that featured her in the Washington Post. She's had a walk that's very similar to some of the ladies that we serve, in that she was homeless and moved around from school to school, but was able to overcome all of those challenges and ultimately graduate from Georgetown University. It is our honor to have Rashima talk to you a little bit about how she suffered through homelessness, but how she ultimately succeeded.
Hello everyone, my name is Rashima Melson, and I'm super humbled to be here today, and I'm so excited and thankful that New invited me to be a part of this event. It's really inspiring and kind of a home feeling to know that so many of the women that New assist have similar backgrounds to me, and that we can absolutely relate, and to just know that at the end of this, you'll know that anything is possible. I grew up in an impoverished neighborhood in Southeast DC, and my father was murdered when I was about 9 months. And I remember learning that when I was maybe about 7, and it inspired me to want to become a forensic pathologist. I wanted to do autopsies. I wanted to figure out a way to kind of give a peaceful revenge to the communities, and solving murders and helping diseases. And in realizing that goal, I kind of did an outline of what I had to do to get there. And I said, okay, so I need to go to high school. I need to go to college. I need to go to med school. I need to go to residency. I need to have a fellowship. And then I would be certified by the age of 30. And that was my plan. I didn't realize how much of a disadvantage that I was at, being black, being a female, and being, in poverty. I developed low self-esteem. I had a really bad relationship with my mom. My mom was a single mother as well, really, really trying to make it. Having 6 kids on her back, no job. She dropped out of high school, in the 9th grade, and she's illiterate, and she's just trying to push this life as best as she could. I remember the worst things I remember is when I developed bulimia. And I remember hating myself so much that I couldn't look in the mirror. And when you hate yourself, you don't believe in yourself, you don't love yourself. You don't see that there's good enough out there for yourself. So a part of being inspired and dedicated to having a better life is about wanting to push yourself. It's about getting help as well, but you are the number one person that pushes you. And eventually, I discovered the love of God. I discovered who he was. I built a relationship with him. I discovered how important he was to me. And in me building that relationship with him really, really inspired me to love myself. And once I started to love myself, by the time I got to high school, my grades became phenomenal. But there was another part of me that it wasn't just about my grades and what was going on in school. It was about what was going on outside of school. My mom, she wanted to leave the Southeast area because she wanted a better environment for us. She wanted us to have better options. And so she decided to move us to Ohio when I was in middle school. And in moving us to Ohio, we moved with one of her friends. And basically, the guy didn't want us to be with him anymore. He kicked us out. And this was my first time ever experiencing homelessness. We stayed in an abandoned home. Me and my brother used the bucket to change each other's feces and urine. And it was really horrible. And so my mom said, well, you know what? I'm going to go back to government assistance, to go back to D.C. because she tried to branch out and do something new. But not having reliable resources and the right help, she decided to go back to what she knew, which is, we're going to rely on food stamps. We're going to rely on Section 8. We're going to rely on that Social Security check to come in every month. And so when we got back to D.C., she realized reapplying for all those things wasn't as easy as it was the first time. And so we struggled for months. Those months turned into years. We were couch surfing, living from hotel to hotel. Sometimes me and my family got split up. And throughout those times, sexual abuse did occur when living with strangers. And it just became, it became really negative. It put me in a really bad place. And the first thing I thought about was, how do I escape? How do I turn this pain and negativity into something positive? How do I use this to motivate myself? So by the age of 14, when I got to the 9th grade, like I said, I was in a much better place. And I decided to really stick to this plan of becoming a forensic pathologist. I said, I'm going to do the, unachievable. And one thing I realized was that when you live in an impoverished community in urban cities and things of that nature, there is this mentality pushed upon us that we can't do it. Statistics say, we're not worth it. And people don't believe in us. People don't invest in us. And so it was hard for me, being honest, to kind of believe in myself, to say I can do it. And so when you see these adults who come from generations of oppression, how do you expect them to just break free and say, I'm going to go achieve this, I'm going to break generational curses? It was really tough. I sacrificed the social life, being homeless, not telling people what I was going through, trying to pretend to be normal when it was really hard. And I just gave it up. I said, I'm going to put all my energy into succeeding, because that is the goal at the end of the day. If I want to be successful, and successful isn't just about being rich, but success is not about the money. It's about the mentality. It's about who you are and what are your goals. And so for me, success would have been having a home, having our own house, not relying on the government to pay for it, being able to say, I graduated from high school, being able to say, I'm the first person in my family who went to college, who graduated college, being able to say I achieved everything that I've written down and I stuck to it, and going back and pulling our people up. So throughout high school, I just worked really hard. I went to over 15 different schools because of the homelessness, and I went to 3 different high schools, but I graduated from Anacostia High School, and then I attended Georgetown University. And while I was at Georgetown University, I was following a pre-med track. But what I realized was that my family was living at the DC General Shelter at the time. And what I was realizing was that while I'm here in a whole different environment, being at Georgetown, which is 8 miles away from Southeast, at the shelter my family was living in, it's a completely different environment. It's a completely different life. It's a different socioeconomic status when you're walking among those people. And I realized that, being a poor girl, the school offered me a lot of scholarships. So I was comfortable, I would say, financially, to just go through those years. But in my head, I wasn't comfortable, not knowing that my family was still suffering, not knowing that every day my brother caught the train, he needs to make sure, to watch his back so that he don't get jumped, to make sure that he's not getting into drugs, to make sure that, just a lot of things. So I was physically at Georgetown, but I was mentally somewhere else. And that fueled the hunger in me to become, successful, to kind of reach my goals, at an even earlier stage than I wanted to. It kept firing me. Like I said, I took the negativity and you fuel it into positivity, you fuel it into determination, and you use that to motivate yourself. And I remember my sophomore year, I took a class with a professor named Mark Howard called Prisons and Punishment. And at the time, my brother was serving a 12-year sentence. And I remember just thinking about juvenile justice, just thinking about all the reasons, why the black kids in the community get locked up, why we're serving sentences so early, why we're getting tried for life. And thinking about, why is this going on in my community? Why don't we have any help? People don't understand that when you're struggling or when your family has no money, you're not stealing because it's a hobby. You're not stealing because it's fun. You're not stealing because you want to cause havoc. You're stealing for survival. And I started to realize that med school isn't what I wanted to do. But I realized what my community needs is resources, help. They need knowledge, to be aware. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be that person, or one of the many people who do come back to help my community. And eventually I changed my major to JEPS, which is Justice and Peace Studies. And it works on a lot of different things, such as restorative justice, juvenile justice. We go into prisons. We make literacy programs. We do a lot of things, throughout the JEPS program. And I really realized I want to go to law school. I want to implement policies. I want to come back. I want to help out the community. And one thing that I really want to do is I want to be able to not be the only outlier. I don't want it to be, oh, she did this, she's an outlier, she's different. No, I have the same story, or mostly, similar experiences to a lot of people who grew up in this environment as me. And I just did the most of what I could. I used my mind, and different people have different talents, but I just used my mind to propel me forward. And thankfully, thank God, I graduated from Georgetown last year, which was super exciting, super monumental moment for me, being the first person in my family to graduate from college, and to just have everyone there. I felt like I achieved something, but I knew it wasn't enough. Those things. Also, another thing that I think is very important is mental health. You have to understand, after going through years of oppression, of abuse, of dealing with drug addictions, of dealing with low self-esteem and other mental health issues, it's really, really hard to just get up and be a positive person, especially when you're being triggered all the time, when you're being ridiculed, when no one believes in you. It's really hard. So I think it's important that we have more therapy, or even not therapy, that we talk out the things that happened in our past. The only thing I know about my mom is her birthday. My mom never talks about her past. My mom never talks about the days when my father used to beat her or forced her to do drugs, or the things that she had to endure growing up with her 15 siblings. And it's a lot of things that if we just communicated with each other, more, it would help. It would really, really help. And I feel like we need more resources in our communities to help us to get to that state. Another thing I really, really want to stress to everyone watching this is to really invest in us. I think it's very important. If I had to ask for anything, it's not just about the money. It's about the time, the effort. What kind of resources are you providing to us to really get us to where we need to go? I think if we had more resources in our communities, we would be able to achieve so much more together and individually, especially for our students who are going to be, the doctors, the lawyers, the head of schools, and the next generation. They're going to be the future of technology. They're going to be the future of the world. But how do we get them there if we don't give them the right resources? So I think it's important for them to know that somebody is invested into them. Because like I said, for a long time, I had a bad mentality because a bad mentality was pushed upon the whole community, especially with gentrification going on, making us feel like we're not worth it. But we are worth it. We just need to invest in ourselves, and we need someone else to invest into us too, so that our mentality can be there. Thank you everyone for inviting me here. Thank you everyone who's going to watch this. Have a blessed year.
I support NEW because it's a wonderful organization that empowers women to make lasting and meaningful changes to their lives. Hope you have fun!
I would like to honor Miss Pam Ransom. She's a 2020 honoree for New Endeavors. And I'd like to give you this. Okay. Miss Ransom came to us in 2000. She left us in 2008. Nine. Okay. And she was one of the more pleasant ladies that we ever had to work with. And she's one of the few alumni that come back consistently over the years. So I wish we could clone her and have many more like her, but because we don't, then she just has to keep coming back so that we can enjoy her. Okay?
Yes. Oh, thank you, Mr. Brown. And thank you, New Endeavors. New Endeavors was here when I was really at a low point. I had came home from prison after using and selling and all that craziness. I was sentenced to 4 years in prison and 4 months in a halfway house. And when I came home from the halfway house, I just didn't want to live like I was living. So New Endeavors was here, and my case manager at the halfway house went through all the red tape to get me here. Arriving at New Endeavors, it was a blessing because after living 4 years with a bunch of women, having a key and a room to yourself was my main objective. I could live through the floods and all that. I just wanted to live. New Endeavors helped me they helped me with so much because I didn't know how to live. They taught me how to live, how to be stable, how to be consistent, dependable, sober. Yeah, I just didn't want to do it anymore. So New Endeavors will always be my point. I mean, whatever New asked of me, I would always do it because they were there when I really needed them. It's a wonderful program, and I love the staff. Today, I have been employed at Washington Hospital Center for 10 years. Yeah. I have a home. I've been in that since I left New. I have 16 years clean and serene.
Hey.
And life is good. God has been good. With the help of God and New Endeavors, I'm living today. Yes.
All right.
32 years ago this past July, the staff of a brand new nonprofit, New Endeavors by Women, made beds preparing to welcome the first 4 women into its program. New was housed in a building rented by the District of Columbia from a local DC landlord. It became clear that because of deferred maintenance, the interior and exterior of the 2-story building needed to be renovated. District Veterans Contracting, owned by Stephen Gross, was awarded the contract to perform the renovations. The mission of New resonates with Stephen's own way of living. He knows and acknowledges that he has been given much by way of opportunities, and this prompts him to find ways of offering others a chance to improve themselves and succeed. Each year, Stephen has come to New's fundraiser. He supports New by becoming a sponsor, bringing family, employees to the event. And most importantly, he becomes the premier bidder of auction items. Aware of Stephen's generosity, Wanda felt comfortable telling him last year about a specific need of Leslie, one of New's young people who was heading to college to study medicine. She needed a computer. Wanda didn't hesitate to call Stephen and ask him for help with this expense. Stephen generously paid for Leslie's computer. This year, we want to honor Stephen Gross a caring, unassuming, generous, hardworking, patriotic man. Stephen is a true partner in caring, and we are very pleased to honor him tonight with the Mary Poppet Partner in Caring Award.
Hi, I'm Steve Gross, and I'm president of District Veterans Contracting. We're honored to be the recipients of the Mary Poppet Partner in Caring Award from New Endeavors by Women for 2020. We met New Endeavors by Women back in 2013 when we won a bid to rebuild the headquarters on N Street. At that time, we got to meet Ms. Steptoe. We got to meet a lot of the clients that New Endeavors helps. And since then, we've maintained our relationship with the organization and supported them in their auctions and their fundraising and whenever they need help with a building problem. And again, we've continued our observation of how they treat and help clients who are desperately in need in the District of Columbia in a very underserved community. And we've been honored to be able to assist them in any way we can, and we look forward to continuing our relationship with New Endeavors by Women. They do a lot of good work, they help a lot of good people, and it's been a real blessing to be able to share with them. Thank you very much.
I've been working for New Endeavors for 13 years. I love New Endeavors by Women.
Hi, I'm Sarah Gokenauer. I'm the Director of Development and Communications at New Endeavors by Women. I wanted to start by saying thank you so much for joining us for this virtual program. We really appreciate you sticking with us as we're working through the new normal here and hosting a virtual event. And I hope you're finding it really meaningful, and we're inspired by your presence and inspired by your support. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about the state of homelessness in DC. So Washington, D.C., despite being the nation's capital, has twice the rate of homelessness as the national average. So you may think to yourself, you know, well, there's probably a problem, but not that big of a problem here. But it really does wind up being a substantial number of people who don't have steady housing. The rate has decreased in the past 5 years, but the rate of decline is starting to fall off. So we're starting to plateau. And in the face of COVID, this is going to be a problem because we anticipate an increase in evictions as soon as the stay on evictions is lifted. Folks are left without jobs and now left without stable housing. So we're bracing ourselves for one of our biggest years yet. And we really need your support and your help to be able to continue providing the vital services that we are able to offer in DC. In fact, 2020's point-in-time snapshot of homelessness, the report says that permanent housing programs like New Endeavors are the most needed service in the metropolitan Washington area. So there are 3 main ways that you can help. First, you can talk about what you learned today, talk about what you saw today, and share it with others. Being an advocate for people experiencing homelessness in DC is so helpful for us and other organizations who are working to house folks. So please help us break the stigma around homelessness and talk about it with your friends. The second thing you can do is donate. So donations are how we keep running. It's how we're able to provide the services that we do. It's how we're able to achieve the wonderful transformations here at New and provide people space for healing. If you are lucky during the COVID crisis and you're able to save a little money here and there, I know some folks, you're not going out for coffee as much. You may not be going out for lunch as much. Please consider taking some of those funds and allocating them to a monthly gift to New Endeavors. A monthly gift helps us plan our income and our expenses, and it provides a steady source of resources for us moving forward throughout the year. And last but not least, stay in touch with us over the next year. It's going to be a big and busy. I know everyone has a lot of priorities right now, but if you follow us on social media and sign up for our newsletter, you'll be able to get the first new information about what's happening at New. You'll find out about events, volunteer opportunities, and just great stories about what we're doing here. So again, thank you so much. You can head to our website at nebw.org. And you'll be able to sign up for the newsletter there, make donations there, and find our social media handles there. Thank you again for joining us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Evan Becerra, and I've been honored to serve on News Board for over 5 years, and for the past 2 years as chair. As you've seen and heard today, NEW is a phenomenal organization focusing on empowering women and children in our community. I want to start by thanking our hardworking staff and essential workers who provided much needed services during this time. I also want to thank our dedicated board for all their assistance in supporting the organization. And finally, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of this and for helping to make this happen, and for supporting such a fantastic organization. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming, and thank you for supporting New Endeavors by Women.
Thanks for being with us tonight, and thanks to NEW for all you do for homeless women and children in DC.
Thank you for joining us.